All right, third video, and this is walking the road down to the farm. So I can see most of the sheds, some equipment. Take a little bit of a look at some of the equipment while we're down here. This is an old shed. I don't even know how old that thing is. We were thinking about building a big shed here to hold old equipment and stuff, but it's prohibitively expensive. So here you can see a front weight to carry on the 3-point on the 6430, and we need to do various load, and it's the, you might be able to see this, is normal John Deere weights with a plate that we put them on. So instead of buying a whole new weight, we could just put it on our front loader and be done. John Deere sprayer, I think that's 60 feet, something like that, 21 meters I think. Moldboard plow, Crandon moldboard plow that haven't been used in many years. An old sprayer, various snow equipment, brush cutter basically, load on the side so you can do ditches and whatnot. Some cultivator stuff, front compactor, scrape to do after you planted, to roll, to get the rocks down if you have a lot of rocks. We have one harrow there, one there. We used that one on the field on there last week that I filmed on, probably posted. I was driving this thing. So we're being 9. Does pretty good work. That is when the operator remembers to put it down far enough. Not going to mention who the operator was that didn't know. Not my fault, there was a stop put on the down that it didn't go all the way down. That's what I'm saying. This little field right here we used to grow potatoes on just for consumption. Grandpa back in the day used to have a lot of potatoes. That is after he quit having fruit trees. So this interesting thing down here is that these two fields used to be fruit trees. And the story goes, and I never asked my grandpa about this, was that in the 50s, when trade started opening up after World War II, fruit from Brazil and whatnot were starting to be imported freely, and he couldn't make money anymore. So one day he cut down all the fruit trees. And this is one of the fields we planted. There might be a video of Dad driving around this field, really dusty that day. I ran some work on this field. You can see right down there, this used to be nothing but fields. Now it's built down. Sad thing is, there's a McDonald's right behind these trees, so there's actually a McDonald's closer to the farm than what there was, what there's been to any other house that lived in the US. So yeah, so there used to be fruit trees all over here, and until about 20 years ago, a couple of them were still standing. There was a great cherry tree standing at the back of the porch here, and Grandpa and I, if we had some downtime and there was fresh cherries, we would sit there and relax and eat cherries. There's a well over there that feeds the farm, especially when we had the cows. So there's a small house that's was used for hired help, which was my grandparents. Here's the main house. The guy that owned it before Grandpa used to live here. It's an old barn. Used to have another extension here that we had most of the dairy cows in. My sister turned that down because it was in really bad shape, since we haven't had cows since, I've had dairy cows, I think it's 84. And I had beef cattle until about 92. But you can see cows were all tied down here. They weren't free range, so I think by Norwegian standards now, it's not even illegal to have cows in. But have everything here. You would go back here to the slurry store, and slurry store, which is currently grown over really bad. This room has a grain dryer. Haven't had to use that so far this year. Of course, we have, I think, a 60-foot tarp store that we used to feed the cows. Great way to feed the cows. We had an automatic feeder sitting in the ceiling where the cows were, so all you had to do was just turn it on. Go back and forth while you were doing other cow work. And turn it off and you were done. Spent many hours blowing grass, or how do you call it, silage, into this thing. Yeah, so if you haven't had cows for years, so things have been grown over. Not much you can do about this. They considered converting the harvest store to keep grains in, but I think it's too much money, and I don't think we do enough to really make it worthwhile. It's what we use to harvest into the silo. Basically, we started pulling that for the Ford 5000 back in '77. We tried telling them it wasn't enough power, but nobody wanted to listen to us, so we quickly, after I think 2 seasons, upgraded to a John Deere. I can't remember if we did a 3120 or 3130. I think we had a 3130 with hydraulic front wheel drive. And then later on, early 80s, we got first a 2-wheel drive John Deere 4040 and a 4-wheel drive mechanical front wheel drive, this time 4040. All the quad range, and then traded one of those in for 4050. That's when we started more grain stuff. We needed more power. 4050 we still have. It's the only tractor we still have left from when I lived here. So this is the farm. So now we just grow grains, wheat, barley, oats, some beans once in a while. That's about it.